to clinch her second title of the season. Indeed. To clinch her second title of the season. Indeed. Brandon. There it is. Nice. Bang.
Winning shot. Simo.
Talented step ladder finals for you. Emil Williams Jr. alongside Sydney Brummett. And Sid, we've got a player with an opportunity to win her first career title. First career step ladder finals appearance. It is the #1 seed in the lefty, Bailey Delrose.
Yeah, Bailey has had an outstanding performance throughout match play today, especially that second set when she came back from the lunch break. And like we heard from Shannon O'Keefe, the amount of time you have during lunch to think about what you're doing could be a detriment, but Bailey, it just catapulted her straight to that #1 seed.
She came out firing this afternoon in the round two, and it was phenomenal to watch. It was one of those moments where you think, like, will she have some adversity to deal with? And but you saw the mental capacity, right? We talked about that. She was so strong mentally, and when we talked to her after the round was over, she mentioned she was able to stay grounded, stay mentally focused, and that's what ultimately got her there. Certainly helped to throw a few strikes every now and then, Sid, as well, to get to the #1 seed. The #2 seed tonight is Stephanie Johnson, looking for title #5. Steph, as we talked about before, Sid, I believe she's due. You believe she's due. Is this the night for Steph to win her first title since 2022?
I think it could be. There's no doubt in my head about it. The pattern plays to her strengths. She's comfortable here. She's played well here in the past. She's grounded. She just got to see her best friend out on tour for the first time in a few seasons. There's nothing like a Stephanie Johnson win, and I think we could see one here tonight.
We certainly could. New Wave finish your #3 seed, and you talk about winning. Well, you have no player to look forward to more than New Wave Finn. She is 3 for 3, Sid. She's made 3 stepladder finals previously. She's won all 3. This is her 4th. Can she win again? The answer certainly is yes. What does she have to do to get that 4th victory tonight?
I think she just has to be present and patient, which we know from Wei is completely available to her. She is coming off a not-so-great anniversary open, so for her, that only fuels the fire. We could see a win from her tonight fueled by that.
She certainly was top of the standings a couple of times during qualifying and match play. Our opening match will feature Julia Bond, who is making her second show here this season, and Sherry Tan, the #5 seed, locked in a battle in the position round match versus fellow lefty Brianna Andrew. It is Tan, it is Bond, and we both said both of those players looked like more of themselves when we watched them compete during especially the second round of match play. That should be a very good opening match. How do you see that one playing out, Sid?
It could be interesting because Sherry has had, like you said, during match play, an up and down season. And so for her, managing the left side of the lane is going to be important because if she does run this ladder, she is dictating every single bowling ball that's going down that lane for score. Now, it'll be interesting to see what Bailey does in her practice shots to change that. But ultimately, Sherry is, like Bailey said, one of the GOATs of the left side of the lane. I do not doubt that we're going to see a phenomenal performance from her. For Julia, it's almost getting the, the monkey off of her back and getting another win. I think a few wins on TV will serve her well, even if it is bowl TV as compared to live TV. But Julie getting a few wins under her belt, we could see her get the momentum to run the ladder because when Julie sees a pair well, she continues to play at a high level, continues to have that momentum. Just a few more minutes here before we get underway. Players discussing the differences between lanes. Julia with her ball rep, Rob Gottschall. Sherry with Sean Ryan, who is here as the manager, player resource for Singapore.
Sherry's going to start the match on the left.
And we just heard from one of our tournament managers, Damon Sirocco, that Sherry would be starting the match.
All right, Rochester, here we go. Our first match of the evening, Tan versus Bond. Who advances to meet new wave in? Looks like Sherry is going to get us started. Let's give these ladies a huge round of applause here at the PWBA Rochester Open.
All right, just got the final bell, ding ding, if you will. Sherry Tan will indeed start the match. Julia Bond, the 4th seed, chose to allow Sherry Tan to begin on this 50-foot lane condition. Again, live from ABC Gates Bowl. Thank you to Kelvin Parker, Russ Vallone, Dave Warner, the entire crew and staff here. Tan to open. Bang. Certainly a great way to start the match. A look at ABC Gates from afar. Tour Championship signage. Trophy in the back as well, as we take you to Julia Bond. JB from Aurora, Illinois. High flush to start for Julia Bond, and it's the fist pump for me, Sid. Those are the things that let me know that JB not only got a great look on the lanes, but I felt like, as we've talked about, just the confidence, and you talked about it earlier, some of her interviews just this week about feeling like herself again as well.
Yeah, you could see it on her social media presence throughout the offseason, but also just communicating with her as tour got underway. She was more than prepared from a personal standpoint to play at a high level.
Looking for the early double and trouble. 2-8-10, and Sid in particular watched a few matches, of course, on 31 and 32. And for reference, folks, our booth is kind of just behind 32, and it moves over into 33 and 34. So we had a really good view of 31. I did see a few players kind of get into the 2-8-10, the 2-10 zone on that lane. I think it is something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, fairly every pair that we hit yesterday across the building felt like the left lane, down lane was a bit tighter. So on the fresh, if you get the ball going away from the head pin too much, you're staring probably at some sort of 2-pin combination, hopefully not. Something that's very unlikely to make, like a 2-8-10 for Julie.
First open for Bond, now Tan. Can she double? Indeed.
Our players bowled on a 50-foot pattern this week. What was interesting about it is that the brush drop was only at 30 feet. So players necessarily didn't feel like it was too much different between our two practice sessions. We had one on 50 feet, one on 40 feet. Players often had the same bowling balls going down the lane. They felt like they weren't that different how they had to play them, at least from the start.
Good shot, 7-pin there for Sherry Tan, the 37-year-old lefty. And now we feel like at this point we've seen her over and over again over the course of several seasons. Dating back to 2016. 5 titles so far on the resume, looking for title number 6. Event number 48 overall. 16th career show. All right, spare taken care of. Saw her miss a 10-pin in the 3rd frame of the position round match versus Brianna Andrew. But she got right back on the horse, rallied the ship quickly, doubled up, and ultimately won the match to make the show. Nana Bond, who trails by 21. Got to see it. It's the mixer to carry.
One thing I want to point out about the pattern this week is something that we often skip, but there are some polarizing conditioners that our friends at Kegel use. One of them is terrain. You'll hear players talk about it like it's bowling in mud or it feels a bit sticky. It just means your ball wants to slow down early. It wants to hook early. And so for me, when I saw that we were bowling on terrain, I basically penciled Julia into the show. Her ball roll gets through the front part of the lane in a great way on this conditioner. Gives her an opportunity to get 10 more often than not.
Looking to cut the deficit. Nice adjustment on the left lane. Big double there for Julia Bond here. Opening match, if you're just joining us. PWBA Rochester Open, first event of 3 here at Tour Championship Week at ABC Gates Bowl. Folks, just an FYI, if you hear some papers rattling around, it is because we are directly underneath a ceiling fan, which certainly helps the players. But it is a paper trail, if you will, here in the booth. So do not fret. They'll probably be like, "What are they doing with those?" Well, it's because they're just blowing around. Tan down the right lane, leading by 11, and that's going to increase. Talk to Sean Ryan, who is here on behalf of Team Singapore. Said Sherry used 2 IQ tours for the majority of this event. We saw her move into the Gremlin again late in the position round match, as we talked about earlier. But that's going to be the bowling ball. Speaking of the IQ tour, one of them. She got 1 pin up and 1 pin down. Those will be the primary choices of attack for Sherry Tan. Another wrap 7. Both have come on lane 31. And with a runner-up finish this season at the Bowl TV Open. 5th place finish at the Bowler's Journal Waterloo Open. And then if you were to certainly look at things by the Sherry Tan standards, a lot of finishes where you wouldn't normally see Sherry Tan in the standings, especially in majors. She'll take care of the spare. She'll go have a quick chat with the aforementioned Sean Ryan. And now Bond trailing by 11. Looking to cut it to 1 here. This one moving quite along here, Sid, from the pace perspective. JB, all 10 down.
Yeah, you can tell how much more her ball wants to shape down lane on the right lane. Something to watch out for as we continue throughout the week here in Rochester. It's a beautiful thing about the Classic Series or Tour Championships week as a player. We get to know the center better than we would typically. we take notes, we learn, and bring that into the next event.
That next event is coming up tomorrow. Bright and early again, 10 a.m. Eastern time. But first, we got to crown a champion tonight. It could be Julia Bond. Bond is taking the lead here. Clutch four-bagger after the 2-8-10 in frame number 2. But just when you thought you had the right lane down, now wrap 7s on both lanes sit. Very intriguing situation. This is kind of similar to what we saw too. Again, just thinking back to the position round match, and see, we got to the point where you thought the lefties were starting to experience some significant transition later into the final round of match play earlier today. And we saw a lot of wrap 7s in the position round from Sherry Tan as well as Brianna Andrew.
Yeah, we sure did. I mean, it's not often that our lefties see that much transition with 4 out of the 12 being left-handed. They were going to hit pairs that other lefties had hit. You know, in qualifying, they may miss those pairs. They may not cross with very many lefties. And so they saw a lot of it today, saw it late. Luckily for Sherry, she had set herself up to where that last game, she had an opportunity to make the show, even though she didn't have the best look to get 10 every frame.
The last 2 times on the left lane, she has wrapped 7'd. And the light mixture, but she gave the look as if to say, eh. Nonetheless, it's 10 down.
You're 100% correct. That's one of those times where I'll never forget. We were bowling in Dallas, and Carolyn Dorn-Ballard looked at me, and I made a face like Sherry just made. She goes, "Sid, you know, they don't always have to fall down perfectly every time." But Sherry is such a perfectionist.
Great shot. Well, JB has looked so solid here in the early morning. Or should be the opening match, I beg your pardon. "20-pin advantage for Julia Bond, and looking to potentially advance to face the number 3 seed tonight, New Wei Finn. Sherry with just 1 double, as we talked about. 3 7-pins. Right now the difference. Didn't like that one, Julia, but it's going to hold and kick it. Oh, flex on him, JB. I didn't know that the Bonds had the flex maneuver, the 007 realm of the world. Well, now Tan stepping up, 8th frame trailing by 30. This has escalated quickly. There's a good one in her second double. Back score for Tan is 248. .268 the max for Julia Bond. Blay starting to get her warm-up shots. Down on 21 and 22. Number 2 seed tonight, Stephanie Johnson. Top seed, Bailey Delrose, a second-year player from Crest Hill, Illinois. It's just outside of Chicago, near Joliet. That felt like a must strike there, Sid. Comparing, obviously, what Julia is working with for Sherry to still have she still got a fighter's chance, but the chance that we felt she needed, that felt like a must strike.
Yeah, it did. It was just going away from the head pin too much. And there are times where, as players, we felt like this played like 40 feet, but occasionally you would get one going away from the head pin, and you quickly remembered that it was 50 feet because if you're left-handed, you were looking at a 3-pin combination, right-handed a 2-pin combination. For our fans of bowling out there who love bowling balls, Julia is throwing an idle pearl. Discontinued piece from the SPI brands. Lucky to leave only a fast 8 there, 4-7. It is a bigger core bowling ball for the fans of the idle, same core. Pearl cover stock. Pattern is only 25 mils on a high friction surface, and so players would either take bowling balls that are typically solid and put some polish on them, or they would simply use a bigger core pearl bowling ball.
All right, good spare for Bond. Julia does have to show up in the 10th frame. I'll need a mark in the 10th to shut out Sherry Tan. If not, Tan can step up in the 10th frame and steal this match. They say the best mark is a strike. Bang! And there it is. Now officially to keep it on the lane needs 2. Stay behind the foul line. And she will get a quick look at a different piece of equipment.
I think my favorite trend that's happened on the tours over the last few years is we don't really call bowling balls by their name all the time as players and reps. Rob Gottschall is standing right next to me and just told Julie to throw the black one or the blue one or the red one. So when you're trying to learn new bowling balls, when you throw a different brand, you're like, wait, which one is that? Like I bowled with Aaron McCarthy this weekend. I was like, Aaron, which red one is that?
3, 6, 9, 10, of course, for Julia Bond. This match now is officially over. Sherry Tan will have her second 5th place finish, but her 3rd top 5 finish on the season. With 2 more events, of course, to go. Pepsi Open beginning tomorrow. And, of course, the Tour Championship. From the points perspective, though, for Sherry, as I talked about, hasn't been the Sherry Tan season that we are used to. She came into this week in 20th on the points list. The top 24 do advance to the Tour Championship. Of course, champions earn the automatic spots, but this was a huge opening event for Sherry Tan with regard to points and her placing in the moment, of course, at the top 24. New Wei Finn. 3-time champion. Can she make it 4? That's going to be her challenge. All in all, I thought a really good performance. And in the past, Sherry Tan has performed well on distances such as this, 49 feet, 50 feet. She won on a 49-foot pattern at the Players' Championship in 2019 and won on a 50-foot pattern at the Bowl TV Classic in 2022.
Ladies and gentlemen, our 5th place finisher, Miss Sherry Tan.
There's Robin Graves. As Julia Bond advances 233 to 214.
And then we have our next match of the evening, Julia Bond versus New Wei Finn. Who is going to come out on top here at the PWBA Rochester Open?
Brunswick, ladies and gentlemen, is the leader in bowling ball, shoes, equipment, and apparel. Find out the latest products, promotions, and news from Brunswick and shop online at brunswickbowling.com or through your local pro shop today. And what that is that's your cue. We have a giveaway on the way. A giveaway is next. You guys have asked about giveaways earlier today. We got one for you to start our evening tonight, courtesy of Brunswick. Again, the leader in bowling ball, shoes, equipment, and apparel. Find out the latest products, promotions, and news from Brunswick and shop online at brunswickbowling.com or through your local pro shop today. Giveaway is underway. The countdown is now rolling. That means if you are watching in full screen mode, you should exit out of full screen mode so you can see those lower third prompts. If you are familiar or kind of know the spiel, if you will, at this point in your Bowl TV life, you know once you see submit entry, just go ahead and click that button, and you will be entered to win a Brunswick bowling ball. We'll have 2 more giveaways. Again, the first from Brunswick, then on to, what's our order tonight, Mr. Producer? All right, so we'll go Storm, and then we've also got some board games to give away courtesy of Scarb tonight as well. Or a board game, I beg your pardon. They got some dope stuff. We gave away a Scarb game back in Cleveland as well. Did you give away one yesterday too? Of course, folks, that people hear me, but they don't talk to me because he's the producer. Make sure you get that entry in. Once the winner is chosen, we will bring Sydney Brumman back into the broadcast and talk a little bit about what we might expect here from New Wei Finn upcoming. Again, good evening to all of you watching, whether you're at home, on the road. Congratulations to Claude Perrault. You've got yourself a Brunswick bowling ball. Thank you first and foremost to, again, Brunswick, one of our proud gold partners here on the PWBA Tour, along with Go Bowling, Kegel, Lane Talk, and Storm. Again, Claude. So here's the deal. If you've heard this before, then you know what I'm going to say. You should anticipate an email. I would give it, at this point I've learned you got to give it about 2 weeks because the staff is busy. And so then you're going to tell them that I told you it's going to be a week, and really it's like 2. So give them about 14 business days. Make sure you do check your junk folders, the spam folders in your respective email provider. Sometimes emails do get lost from the staff. But congrats again to Claude. And 2 more giveaways coming up. Of course, the next courtesy of Storm. This will be following our next match. Speaking of the next match, Sydney Brumman, New Wei Finn. I can't tell you, of course, you know this, how much we have discussed, talked about, and enjoyed watching Wei compete here this season. This is her 4th show of the year. She is 3 for 3 heading into this show. Meaning, of course, the odds would be in her favor based on her experience and performance so far. But what must Wei do to get the job done here today on what certainly has been from a strikeable situation, right? She hasn't had too many issues, but she is one that is so versatile. There's really not much she cannot do.
Yeah, it's very true. She's also one of the most technical players that we have on tour. She knows her equipment to a very high level, almost too much to where she can overthink it. But to answer your question, what does she have to do? Wei needs to find a way to use the hold rather than the friction, because on the right side of the lane, we have Wei, Stephanie Johnson, and Julia Bond. And so the other 2 players are quite straight. So Wei will be a bit further left than them, but she has to remember, of course, as she has throughout the entire qualifying and match play rounds, that we don't use the friction on this pattern. It is still 50 feet. We want to find hold. It's why this pattern actually had a 1.49 to 1 ratio. And if you're a person looking at this pattern, you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, scores should have been so low. But realistically, anytime you give women hold, we're going to run them over. And so that's what happened here this week. Yes, they're supposed to be hard on paper, but realistically, that's not 1,000,000% true. As long as Wei uses the hold, that will be her key to having a chance here in this match against Julia Bond.
Damon Sirocco down in the pit area. I believe Wei is going to get the start. She has chosen to start, of course, as the higher seed.
All right, Rochester, here we go. Our second match of the evening. New versus Julia. Who advances to meet Stephanie Johnson? 2 major champions fighting it out right here, right now. Let's give these ladies a huge round of applause. Looks like New's going to get us started here at the PWBA Rochester Open.
All right, Wei, as we discussed, is going to start the match. 33-year-old right-hander from Singapore. Bowling on a show again with teammate Sherry Tan. First shot. There's some early hook to sit.
Yeah, I mean, if any of our players are going to see it, it's going to be Wei. She threw one of the new high roads in the fill. I'm sorry, not in the fill, in her last shot of practice, excuse me. I didn't hate it, but Wei is such a perfectionist. All of the players from Singapore have that perfectionistic, bug in them a bit, just because it is what they do all of the time is their craft. And they get better and better and better at it, and they know what it should look like, and that makes it difficult to be okay with when the ball doesn't quite do the exact right thing. Road warrior, excuse me.
First shot from Bond. We got the opening win against Sherry Tan. Uh-oh, are we now into the wrap 7? Of course, we won't see those. And if you're Bailey Delrose, hopefully you won't see those again. She is the #1 seed and the lone lefty now remaining. But have we reached the wrap 10 portion of things here for Julia Bond?
It's possible. With the lower amount of volume and really oil only being applied to 30 feet and buffed to the other 20, it's arguable that when you wrap 10, it's just that the lane is starting to hook a bit more. So she could just make a small move, or she may just stay.
Damon has, well, let's see. The deadwood will be removed. Let's see how Damon is going to do it. Oh, look at Damon Sirocco getting his 15 minutes. Oh, and he two-handed. Let's go, Damon. It's a pretty effortless two-handed style. I know there's some folks right now who just went wild, unfortunately. Rick Barbera, one of the GOATs in the bowling industry. Here, of course, courtesy of Brunswick, wherever there's Brunswick scoring on the PWBA Tour and some PBA events, especially USBC-related events, you will find Rick Barbera. Bang. So the momentary delay did not stop the momentum of Julia Bond. Again, if you're just joining us, she defeated Sherry Tan in the opening match, 233 to 214. Bond struck 8 times in the match. 4 out of 6 on the left lane, 4 out of 5 on the right lane. And the 6 into the 10 nicely for New Wave Finn.
That was a nice little tap on the 10. I feel like we haven't seen a ton of those. Usually it goes right around it.
Way coming off, again, when you think about subpar performances, there just really haven't been many of those for Way this season. She opened the season with a 38th place finish. She missed the cash and missed the cut, of course, in Topeka, and then got on the run, beginning with the Queens. And nice break there, just leaving the 6-pin. Finished 13th through 16th at the Queens, 20th at the Cleveland Open, then won back-to-back for the final 2 events in Cleveland, the Bowl TV Open and the Rock and Roll Open, 18th at the Bowling Journal Waterloo Open, and then, of course, took home the U.S. Women's Open. The Anniversary Open saw a 42nd place finish. It's actually her first time traveling on tour without any Singapore teammates. And now the group is back together here in Rochester. The funny part about Wei is when I talked to her at the anniversary, she had just bowled an event in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong Open, I believe, and she won that too. That's a true story. Here's Bond. Said I don't think there's any doubt in match number 1 that ball holds. And maybe starting to see a little bit of additional hook.
Yeah, Wei is going to break him down a bit because she's going to be further left than the other players, being Stephanie and Julia. But the wrap 10 is still a sign that they're starting to hook a bit early.
She went for it. Certainly looking for a count as well. Yeah, I'm not sure she was really expecting that hit. First open for either player comes into the third frames, or in the third frame, I beg your pardon, for Julia Bond, and now quickly trails by 14 pins.
And that leave really is unfortunate because she could have so easily fast 8 like she did in the first match in the 9th frame. That was really when that lane started to hook. Or she could have just left a 4-pin. Unfortunate leave to have the 10 with it.
That was near trouble, and it won't roll. So just the 10-pin here for Julia Bond. JB, 29 years of age, 3-time champion, 1 major, won the USBC Queens in 2021. All 3 titles came that season. She's got 4 regional titles to her credit, 9-time Team USA member. And that's a current streak. Making her 6th career championship round appearance. Her 2nd show here in 2025. Uh-oh.
Ooh.
Wow. Way sending pins every which way. Now could be the first to double here. Leading by 14, looking to increase. Oof, and you saw it start to get going early, Sid.
Yeah, and I mentioned that the left lane feels tighter down lane. So for Julia, she's not going to have her ball necessarily go high on that lane because she's using a cleaner cover. She's using a pro cover. Wei, on the other hand, believe is using a phase 2, and so it's going to want to hook sooner. She's going to notice that that lane wants to hook sooner and be tighter down lane more than Julia is. Simply, partially for 2 reasons. One, because of her rev rate, the difference in the two. Actually, 3 key reasons. Julia also has more rotation, so her ball wants to get through the fronts more, and also because Julia is using a much cleaner bowling ball by nature than Wei is.
Just like that. Julia Bond. 19 even here. It's funny how we know this about bowling, but how crucial splits and key frames are. What a shot. Can Julia now be the first player to double? And if you recall, in match number 1, she was the owner of a 6-bagger from frames 3 through 8. And now has yet to put a double together through 5, but that could change here. Bang! Beautiful. JB, longtime coach Will Clark in the building. Also working with our Team Storm reps, Joey K. Rob Gottschall in the building as well. Now back to Wei. Need some help. And gets a ton of it.
Messenger 10. Trip big 4. Come on, Wei. Yeah, there are 2 ways to play this pattern, and one is to take the early friction out of play. That's what Julia is doing. It's what Stephanie will do. Another way to do it is to use the early friction. We actually heard whispers of women wanting to throw urethane on this pattern. We heard that a lot after practice, and the reason is because you can get away with your ball hooking early and bailing down lane. Wei is going to lean more in that avenue than she is getting her ball through the front part of the lane like crazy like Julia and Stephanie will.
This is that situation for Wei, and Sid, we've seen this before on shows where, if Wei just needs to make the step left like she just did, all of a sudden, the lane becomes a much clearer picture for her, and she can strike for a lot, and she can just keep moving left in the process.
Yeah, and there is a benefit to her on this show, too, because she doesn't have anybody going with her.
Oh, JB back to throwing quality shots consecutively.
Now, I will say, I don't think that Julia's had a bad shot this game. I think the third frame was unfortunate. The lane was transitioning, wrap 10. It's not usually in the women's comfort zone with a rev rate like Julia's to wrap 10 and then move. That's very weird. But being on 25 mils and a higher friction center, it's not out of the question. It's just we sometimes miss it because it doesn't happen to us often. But I thought the shot in the third frame was good.
Leads by 10. Makes them 7-pin, no.
My favorite thing about Julia's coach that comes with her everywhere, and he helps some of the other women on tour as well with Will Clark, is how you could probably hear him in our mics, how immediately he said, okay, you know what, on one. You know, there wasn't a moment in time where she was able to lull over that shot. She could just quickly focus on the next shot at hand, which was I need to make my spare, and now she can strategize. I think it's often that on tour, if you don't have someone reminding you that the next shot is the most important one rather than the strategy for the whole next frame, occasionally we can get lost in that.
Bond's max now 225. Wei now looking for 3 in a row. Uh-oh. And that thing's still wanting to go, Sid.
Yeah, I was a little scared on that one. I was. Because anytime I saw someone want to try to play the friction instead of the hold, it did not go well. Because they would have 4 or 5 strikes in a row, but then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, their bowling ball would go sideways. And it would split. And so I was afraid for Wei there that that's what was going to be the result.
Max score for Wei, 236. Big 9th frame here. You bet.
And I loved that one in comparison to one on the right lane because it was a bit more direct. I was not scared on that one.
Talked to Sean Ryan about the bowling ball choices for Wei. Phase 2 certainly is what she's been throwing here, but Road Warrior, Ion Max, IQAI was also possibilities for Wei, but obviously old trusty, old faithful. Here's JB, who cannot shut out Wei. Oh, wow. That's a tough one. That is a deflating type of wrap 10. When you know you've got a strike there, force your opponent into, a marked situation in the 10th frame, and you leave that, that's where bowling gets tough.
Yeah, and what's hard is you have so little control over it. We can only influence the outcome in bowling.
Good spare here for Julia Bond. And now she is looking at a 214 max. That would force a 20-pin fill situation from New Wei Fin in the 10th frame, but Bond has to bring all 3 in the 10th to get to that point. For a shot. Indeed. Julia, assistant coach at her alma mater, University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Multi-time first-team All-American, national champion. And now giving back to collegiate players at her alma mater from the coaching aspect. Oh, it's a big double.
It's huge because Wei on this right lane, we have to remember, has gone messenger 10, which is it's a flat 10 with a friend, and then trips a big 4. So she's going to be making a move on this right lane. The question is, does it work or does it not? Julia getting a double there is huge.
Strike here, and it's 9 spare strike for Wei. Push. Nice frame for Bond. Good finish. So forces Wei to show up here. lot of possibilities here, but at least 8 on the first shot is important. And 10 is going to be a winner. Julia Bond performing admirably. Again here, another week-long competition. 3 events here at the PWBA Championship Week. Again, she made a show in Cleveland at Yorktown Lanes. Finished 3rd at the Rock and Roll Open at that event. 2 shows now in 2025 and still 2 additional opportunities. One certainly a major as well. She made 4 in 2021. So here's Sean behind us. The way is going to give a look to the IQAI here. Where bowling gets tough, Sid. I thought it was a well bowled game. And you talked about the shot in frame 3 for Julia. Then you wrapped in the 9th. Again, if she carries that, it'll be a different situation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's less than an inch away and, 4 of those frames from striking.
She'll get the look, and now officially 224 to 213. 007, another great tournament. But again, these players will be back at it tomorrow, the Pepsi Open. Semi-final match is on its way. Number 2 seed Stephanie Johnson will face the number 3 seed New Way Finn. And of course your top seed waiting in the wings, the remaining left-hander Bailey Delrose, the 2nd-year player. Our next bowling ball giveaway is brought to you in part by Storm, the leading manufacturer of high-performance bowling balls. Visit stormbowling.com to pick your next Storm bowling ball, and always remember to bowl up a Storm.
What is it about bowling that captivates us so much? Mastery of the game is impossible, but perfection is just within reach. Success seems to lie 60 feet ahead, but the real battle takes place 6 inches between your ears. So if no matter how many times you fail, you would still do anything, and I mean anything, just to get 1% better. We know exactly how you feel.
All right, folks, welcome back. Thank you to Storm, one of our proud gold partners, of course, along with Brunswick Go Bowling, Kegel, and Lane Talk. And now Storm is giving you an opportunity to win a brand new bowling ball. Again, you know the situation. If you're in full screen mode, please exit so you can see the lower third prompts. The countdown is indeed underway. Once that countdown, the first one, that is, has completed, you'll see an opportunity to click Submit Entry. I cannot guarantee that you will win, but you must click Submit Entry to have a chance. It's like Celebrity Jeopardy. Pick anything at all, and you win. Just anything. But in this game, you got to click Submit Entry. Give you a few more seconds to make sure you do that, as Sid has a keen eye on Stephanie Johnson and what and how she's electing to play the lanes. I'll tell you one key note that will be important to keep in mind and to look for, and it involves the bowling ball that Steph probably is going to use. Current C1. Okay. Well, congratulations, Current. You got yourself a Storm bowling ball. If you heard the spiel a little bit earlier, if you watch Bowl TV often, you know the situation. Make sure you pay attention to your email. You should receive an email within 2 weeks' time. Again, 14 business days, just to kind of keep that in mind. All right, make sure you check your spam folder. Make sure you check the junk folders as well. Again, thank you to Storm, and thank you to all of you. Happy birthday to Lonnie, if I saw it was his birthday today. Happy belated birthday to Cecil Scarborough, our player services manager here on the PWBA Tour. He's actually to my left tonight, helping with some stats. Happy belated to Cecil. I feel like there was about 14 people on Facebook who had a birthday on yesterday, including my son, so that'd be like 15. Carol Norman, that's right. She too had a birthday. John used to be out here a little bit with us as well. There's one other person, actually, Diana Zavyalova. Actually, her birthday was August 1st. I feel like I'm missing a tour player or two. Nonetheless, Sid, when we talked to Shannon O'Keefe, we had an opportunity to chat for a few minutes. She was watching Stephanie Johnson's match about mid-block, I think it was, this afternoon. And she said she had thrown one bowling ball the entire tournament to that point, which was the Ion Pro Solid. Steph is going to start the match. What did you see from Steph in regards to where she was bowling and where she was playing on the lanes?
I mean, she's going to be further right than Wei. Steph can use her ball speed to her advantage here. Wei is fighting the front part of the lane a bit, and Steph will do that as well, but she'll use some versatility skills to combat that.
Final match: New Wave Finn versus Stephanie Johnson, two experienced veterans. Who is going to advance the taste?
It looks like Wei is going to start the match.
Let's give these ladies a round of applause here.
Steph gave the instructions to Damon. Curious if Wei will continue to just bump left. His first shot could tell us a lot. And the mixer goes early. That's her third strike on the left lane. She was just 2 of 5 on that lane in her previous match versus Julia Bond.
Yeah, at the beginning of the game, she wasn't far enough left over there because it can trick you because it is 50 feet, so you have hold, and then when it hooks sooner, it's tighter down lane. And so occasionally, especially in practice when you're going a bit faster, you can trick yourself into thinking maybe the lanes are the same, or it doesn't hook as much as it actually does, and then you get going and you're like, oh wait, I need to make a move.
First shot from Steph J. Oh, yeah. This girl is indeed fearless. That's what the TGIF stands for on Steph J's merchandise and her jerseys. Goes right on cue, of course, with the PWBA theme of Bowl Fearless. And said that was a fearless shot to open up this match.
It was. It's, I don't know, for me, growing up, I had posters and signed things from women that I looked up to. And for me, it was Stephanie Nation, you know, now Stephanie Johnson. And it's giving very, not to age her, but it's giving vintage Stephanie. Like, it's powerful, confident in her A game.
Maybe a little left, but that's where the ball speed, of course, for Steph comes into play. That's just a 4-pin in that situation.
Yeah, that's the difference for Stephanie versus other players. It's why she's our number 2 seed, is her ball speed. When she does miss, it gives her the ability to still hit the pocket, get 9, rather than leaving a split.
Four-pin awaits Stephanie Johnson. And she will take care of that spare with ease and a nice clean start to the match for Steph, who was looking for her first title since 2022. It came at the Rockford Open. Finished sixth at this year's U.S. Women's Open, however, made the show last year at the event as well. Here's this year's U.S. Women's Open champion, New Wei Finn. Oh, I don't like what's for the competition here, Sid, because we've seen this movie from Wei, and it feels as if, like, as the lanes continue to get a little tougher, she just continues to bump left, and obviously it's condition specific, but on this, little left, and boom shakalaka.
Yeah, I don't like it for everybody else, like you're saying, because she can throw it into where they're bowling, and so every time her competitors move left, they're moving into her transition.
And on cue, that one looked a hair left, big four.
And what's crazy is that's probably just about as far left as Steph's was, right? But because of the ball speed and Steph choosing to use the hold rather than the friction, they have two wildly different outcomes.
Why is it such a key, and how can those listening to this right now in a tournament format, heck, maybe even in league in some situations, figuring out when and how, or when they should, try to utilize or play the friction as opposed to playing the hold and vice versa?
Yeah, a key for me is looking at who is bowling well. So on our tour, if I look at the top of the standings and I see people like, I think Olivia Farwell bowled great this week. If Olivia's bowling great, Stephanie's bowling great, Julia, Carrie Smith, players who like to go a bit straighter, I know that I need to use the hold.
Saw Steph again this afternoon on a match, or in a match, I should say, on 31 and 32. And her misses left happened to be on lane 32 the majority of the time.
Yeah, that's when you start to wonder, is it actually her or is it the lane? Because a player of her caliber probably isn't going to miss left that many times. And Steph is much further right. I feel that she's even a bit further right than Julia was from a laydown perspective. So you have to wonder, does that lane just have a bit more built-in friction in the track that she could move a bit left and have more success?
Three, 6, 10, gonna need some help. Gets one, gotta shake that off immediately. The 41-year-old from McKinney, Texas. I, too, am a proud member of the 41-year-old club. That's why Steph and I vibe so well. We also vibe over zebra cakes, as many of you might know. That it's a love, a delicacy for one Stephanie Johnson, but she now trails by 7. Her 25th career show, 2015 Rookie of the Year. Great shot. I mean, that was absolutely aced. I'm not sure she could throw it better, Sid. And she's thrown it great her entire life.
Yes, that was so good. Rob Gottschall was immediately chatting with Steph after that frame.
Wasting no time. She'll get back up and match the strike thrown in the fourth from Stephanie Johnson. With a 7-pin advantage. Last time up on this lane, big 4. Didn't miss it left that time. It's a good break there, just a 2-pin. Talked about the finishes for New Wave Finn. Again, 3 wins. This is her 4th show of the season. And she's won her previous 3, including back-to-back wins in Cleveland. As she handles the spare in the 5th frame. Quick look at that replay. A shot on the left lane from Steph and how good it was. I mean, watch that entry angle. I mean, you just can't throw it better. The ball cannot enter the pocket much better than that. 10 off the deck. The Ion Pro Solid has been the ball for Stephanie Johnson. Again, the only ball she's thrown. I saw Danielle in the chat talk about just how locked in Steph was with said ball. And that right lane is an issue, at least for Steph.
Yeah, it hooked immediately.
Is this a subtle change in, kind of entry angle? So she's going to have to move left and open up the angle ever so slightly?
No. No, it's just move left and find more volume in the front part of the lane. It's a parallel move. What we saw from Wei on the left lane was a bit of an angle change. She got a bit steeper, and that's when you start to fight with the 2-8-10 combinations. But players like Steph, who are a bit more speed dominant, the parallel moves to the left worked quite well.
Hold on. Wow, she has missed the two 3-6-10s, both on the right lane in 2 different ways. 6th frame now upcoming for Stephanie Johnson. Hello to Chris and the family. I'm sure they are certainly watching at home. Steph originally from the Chicagoland area. That's one of those fun facts for trivia. So if you want to use that, folks, feel free.
I didn't know that.
She is from Cicero, Illinois. It's actually where Town Hall Bowl is located, which now is the owner of that bowling center has a cool TikTok page, and he's often talking about how to improve his bowling center. Bang!
I follow that guy, and I love his TikToks.
Down home to a lot of great players over the course of many years, and some really good previous owners as well. Yeah, Steph originally from Cicero, which is a west suburb of Chicago, before heading down to Florida. Way 10-pin will remain.
It's just kind of let Steph hang in this match. Not on purpose, of course. I say it like she's doing it on purpose. Not on purpose.
Again, Bailey Delrose, the #1 seed, making her first career stepladder finals appearance, awaits the winner of the semifinal match. 4-pin there. I'm sure Wade just hoping that there was no big 4 sighting.
To me, Wei's ball motion is screaming for a ball change. I think we hear about it a lot when people are learning at first how to get out of urethane. You know, you'll hear people say, okay, when you 2-pin and then you move and you 4-pin, that's your sign to know to get out of urethane. It can be the same with reactive if you're bowling on something that makes your ball hook early. And so there could be a few different options. One would be to throw it a little bit faster, but it does look like Wei is going to make a ball change. She's switching her thumb at the ball return right now into a different ball, into the Road Warrior.
Big shot right lane, and that one looked gassed a little bit. Well, it's rare that you see certainly a player of that caliber. I kind of have one lane trip him up, but it's possible. And right now, it's the right lane for Stephanie Johnson. If she finds a way to double, the way things are going, still hang in this thing. But of course, you just, the longer this goes, you feel like Wei might be the first to catch that double, and it could be too late.
Yeah, because if Steph catches a double there, it makes Wei think about her ball change a bit more. Where now, without a double from Stephanie, she is a bit more free to make those changes.
Gotta have it. All right, handles it. Steph trailing by 17 pins. She's had no trouble on the left lane. And the high 4-pin in frame 2. And then boom, boom in frames 4, 6. She will finish on the left lane. Max score 203. This feels like a must strike. Oh my gosh. If you could put together a clinic just on the shots on the left lane, specifically the last 3.
The one thing I want to point out is how good was her lane choice, right? She knew that the left lane was better for her, and she chose to finish on that lane. Very smart.
Carbon copies. Now Wei, who wastes no time. She makes the ball change and finds trouble. And again, keep in mind, Stephanie Johnson is going to finish on what certainly is her good lane. And right now, a mark will do in the 9th, it feels like. All right, Wei takes the count. Max score drops now to 196. Makes this right lane shot certainly the most important shot of the match coming up here for Stephanie Johnson. That was a must-have there, but boy, I tell you, about 40 feet down, I wasn't quite sure. Cote. Go ahead.
I apologize. I was okay with that one, actually, because I felt like she played the hold a bit more. Like, anytime we had to ask for our bowling balls to hook, it usually meant we were doing something wrong. You almost wanted to throw it at the right side of the 3-pin. You didn't want to try to shape it in the middle portion of the lane, because if you hit one lane that had friction in a different spot than another, you could end up with a surprise down lane, even though you thought you threw it great. Wei will probably just make a move on 32.
Shot of the match right here. There it is. Looks up to the sky. Thank you. Same before that Brianna Cote just off to our right. She and Steph, along with Clara Guerrero, have roomed together often this season.
The other person I want to point out off to our right that Steph's been communicating a bit with is Brian O'Keefe. Shannon did head home to make sure that Anna Werkel, who's graduating from their program with her degree, had somebody there at graduation with her. But Brian from Rochester stayed here for his birthday, hang out with some family, and also to be here for Stephanie.
Double and 4 to shut out Wei. Bang!
Talk about fearless. Man, that right lane, 9th frame is really good.
Must strike here for Stephanie Johnson. Oh, Steph J. They say she can't hook it a ton. That ball came back from upstate. Four pins to make it official. And when you've got the left lane as good as she does, I think you can feel pretty confident about throwing a good shot here. Bang! Stephanie Johnson, a clinic in the grind out portion of bowling. She advances to the championship match to face top seed Bailey Delrose. That was a game, Sid, that also included 2 missed 3-6-10s on the right lane. That was impressive.
It was impressive. For me, the 9th frame is almost iconic if she wins this. It's almost iconic. And it might be because for how not well the 3 frames before that went, the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th, to get up there and be as committed as she was hands down admirable.
Now for New Wei Finn, whose journey this week is just beginning. Put together a 3rd place finish. She will add, of course, certainly more points to her current season-long total. She came in leading by 1,450 points over Jordan Snodgrass. I don't have the exact totals, but it certainly will increase. Jordan had to, withdrew because of a thumb injury. We'll see if Jordan will be back on the lanes tomorrow. My guess is she probably will be. And of course, Wei brings all 3 in the 10th. That was a great match. 203 to 196. That's what professional bowling right there is all about.
Here, the rookie versus the vet. Bailey Delrose making her first professional stepladder. Stephanie Johnson trying to claim
our championship match, ladies and gentlemen, is coming up next. It's brought to you in part by Lane Talk. Valuable USB-C Gold partners. Stop by lanetalk.com to find live scoring links and centers across the U.S. and all the latest products to help you track your scores and improve your game. And Kegel, the official lane maintenance provider of the United States Bowling Congress and the PWBA. Last giveaway next. Championship match next here on Bowl TV.
Exciting news. We now have a pro subscription
for bowlers who really want to take their game to the next level.
The biggest thing, you can tag and label each game. Whenever you use a ball, whatever oil pattern that you're on,
you can now track the ball's performance and compare balls side by side.
It is incredibly powerful, and it is going to help you analyze your game. Boom! Try Lane Talk Pro free for 1 month. Upgrade the app, and we'll see you on Lane Talk.
Welcome back to Bowl TV. We've reached the championship match here, the PWBA Rochester Open. But before we can get to it, we've got another giveaway, and it's brought to you in part by Scarb Enterprises. Scarb fuses two timeless classics, bowling and board games. They fuse that into a challenging and also fun new bowling experience for casual and competitive bowlers. Get on the lanes and bowl the adventure. Again, that is Scarb Enterprises. So one Scarb board game is on its way to one lucky viewer here tonight. One more thing, you know what to do. The first countdown has begun. Once that first countdown moves about its business, the next one will be available for you. It will have one prompt. It will say submit entry. All you have to do is use your mouse or your pad. Click submit entry, and you enter yourself to win a Scarb Enterprises board game. Thank you to Scarb. We appreciate them as one of our brand partners on the PWBA Tour. Bailey Delrose, the last remaining lefty. We had Sherry Tan was in the opening match. She lost to Julia Bond. Now Delrose, a second-year touring player, to Maryville to start her collegiate career, finished at St. Francis, Illinois in Joliet. She's got an opportunity to become a professional champion here tonight. But first, she's got to figure out, A, what the ball motion is going to look like. And so far, Sid, what are you seeing so far here from Bailey in these practice shots?
Feels like she's just trying to get comfortable, looking for a ball motion that makes her feel like she can miss a bit, not have to be perfect.
Area helps, and certainly if you're making your first show, right? You'd love to have a bowling ball that will help you, maybe cover up a mistake or two. You anticipate to have a couple of nerves, at least early on.
Yeah, and based on conversations with people who have made lots of shows, I'm not really sure that ever goes away. You need to have room to miss. It's not about how great the good ones are. Right? It's about how great are my bad ones, too, the result of them. Because none of us are perfect. And bowling ultimately is just a guessing game, very scientific guessing game, because our playing field is invisible and can make things tricky. I think it's also why we all stick around.
When we talked to Bailey after match play had completed, she mentioned Mike Wolf had one of the Team Brunswick reps, of course, along with Jason Wojnar. And I believe she said, she did say that they had polished up a pulse. Mm-hmm. And I felt like that's something obviously to keep an eye on. I believe she is in the pulse right now.
Yeah, it's become a fan favorite. A fan favorite for sure.
For her?
No.
Or for staffers?
Staffers. Staffers. I see a lot of them going down the lane. And that's always interesting. I think about each brand kind of has bowling balls that do have that characteristic, right? You think about Storm, phase twos, go down the lane a lot. Brunswick right now, I see a lot of pulses going down the lane. Motive, Venom Shocks, of course. So
by the way, congratulations to Cassandra, who has got herself a Scarb Enterprises board game. Thank you again to Scarb, and thank you, Cassandra or Cassandra, for subscribing and at least certainly watching Bowl TV last week of the National Tour season. Stephanie is going to start the match, which means what's it?
What a genius move by Bailey. That's what it means.
Because she's going to finish on the right.
Here we go. Our championship match. Bailey looking for her first
that is
title and to add
a
her
very
into the legacy of
smart
PWBA
move.
champions. Stephanie looking for title number 5. Who is going to walk away? Let's give these ladies a huge round of applause right here, right now. 10 grand on the line at the PWBA Rochester Open.
Del Rose, the number 1 seed. Johnson, the number 2 seed. Steph J will start the match. Again, she's going to finish on the right lane. Smart from Bailey to not allow Steph to finish on that left lane because we saw what just took place. Championship match, opening event, Tour Championship week at ABC Gates Bowl in Rochester, New York. Left lane has been so good. Oh, gosh. I don't even have words for that. I don't have words for that. Vicious 9-pin. Bowling giveth and bowling taketh away. Now all of a sudden it's crickets here at ABC Gates Bowl. Look out. All right. It's been some adventurous spares for Steph J tonight, but specifically the 3-6-10 on the right line. First shot now for Bailey Del Rose. The second-year player from Crest Hill, Illinois. Bang. I tell you, that's a way to soothe the nerves right there. Del Rose finished 18th at the Bowl TV Open in Cleveland, 14th at the Anniversary Open. I actually thought she was going to make that show. That's how well she had bowled at the Anniversary Open in Green Bay. Looking for the early double. Well, the left lane is now stopping 2 competitors here early. Stone Cold 10-pin for Del Rose.
Overall, it's a great start for Bailey, right? She throws a wonderful shot on 32, shapes perfectly, goes to the left lane, makes another good shot, compounding interest, right? Because good shots have good momentum. When we make good shots, we have good information. We can make good moves, good choices. Overall, you're in your first match on the availability to win a title. That's what you want.
Well, back to Stephanie Johnson, 203 a winner. Their semifinal match versus New Wave Finn, 203 to 196. But this is the lane that was the real trouble. 2 of 5. But the most important one was the one in the 9th. That set her up for the 10th, and she cashed in. Great shot there. So the last 2 shots on the right lane have been very good. Again, dating back to the semifinal match and the specific 9th frame.
Had a great conversation during the break with Stephanie's team that she has here with her, and talked about what was the difference in the 9th frame versus the 3rd, 5th, and 7th. And it was just simply that she didn't get in her head that she needed to be firmer on that right lane. The idea was just to throw it faster to get through the front part of the lane. Once she just rolled it, in that 9th frame, she had more success. She could be herself.
The first to double. Bang. Richard Rump saying the 305 love Stephanie. Absolutely. Again, moved to Miami pretty early. Went to school, college at Central Florida. First team All-American multiple times. Player of the Year. Bailey Delrose, a collegiate player of her own. Started at Maryville University in St. Louis before ending her career at home at St. Francis, Illinois. Now Bailey 2 for 2 on the right lane.
The fact that that one struck is a good sign for her. She got it a bit further left. Light mixer.
Can she double? Yes, she can. And there's that pulse. Putting in work. Wojnar right behind. He's been in some big moments himself, Team Brunswick has. They had, of course, Kayla Smith. Working with Kayla, she was the #1 seed at the Anniversary Open. Now young Bailey Delrose facing the vet, Stephanie Johnson, looking to end a 3-season, what is currently a 3-season title drought. From McKinney, Texas. Bang!
That right there is why Stephanie was your #2 seed, your highest seeded right-handed player. No question, she can use the hold better than most people can. Her ball speed keeps it in front of her. Heard her yell hold. It will. Pretty much every time, I feel like, as long as it's on line. The 3-6-10s, the first one that we saw was her. It was a bit over the top, not a great shot. The second one, she just needed to make a move. But when you're in the right part of the lane and you miss left and it's firm, beautiful on something like this.
Steph with a 10-pin advantage. 5th frame. 10-pin goes. The 6 just clipped it as it made its way around the sidewall. And the 4-bagger for Stephanie Johnson. Now back to Bailey, who now trails by 20. I was asking about Bailey's parents. She told us that her dad actually went on a baseball trip. And one of the things that Mr. Delrose is in the building, he's going to be wearing a baseball jersey. He might be wearing one wherever he's watching this from right now. Oh. When we talked to Bailey earlier, Sid, we mentioned obviously there was going to be another lefty on the show. It was Sherry Tan, and obviously they threw it differently. And she felt, as she was talking, to me, she felt confident about that because she knew she wasn't going to. There would be some effect, but they weren't going to be in the same zone. She was going to be further right no matter what, which is going to be favorable for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's helpful. She just needed to pay attention to the types of bowling balls that Sherry threw more than anything and how much surface she used. Besides that, it wasn't really going to do much but help.
The runner-up rookie of the year last season. And now first trouble. Looks like we've got an open play reservation ready, right? We need about 15 more minutes, and lanes will be available here at ABC Gates Bowl. 3-7. She made 3 splits we saw earlier in one game in match play in round number 2. And nearly made another one.
All right, let it go.
First player to open. Johnson, lane 32, was the nemesis in the semifinal. It's become a companion here in the championship. You saw that one really early, Sid, just like normal. Right? And I say normal because of what we've seen from Steph on the right lane. It's almost like that Iron Pro style wants to see that right lane much quicker.
It does, yeah. And for how Steph is choosing to play them, it's also not abnormal. That's what, for people who are just tuning in, you haven't watched qualifying or match play, that's normal for somebody who's choosing to play this 50-foot pattern like Stephanie is, very straight near the track. You are going to see your bowling ball hook early occasionally because applied oil is only to 30 feet and then buff to 50. So we will see our bowling balls hook early occasionally. Typically the move is just to parallel a bit further left to find more oil in the front part of the lane. However, Stephanie is bowling on a pair of lanes that Wei bowled on. She was further left. That's going to affect the transition. The more that Stephanie moves, theoretically, the more her ball might hook. So we will see her use ball speed and hand position more to combat that than a move.
Three-pin lead for Stephanie Johnson. Keep that tally on the left lane. Again, 6 in the previous match. Makes it another one here. 9 strikes on the left lane.
Just saw Stephanie say to her team, I'm going to make a move. Speaking about that right lane. Important for her to get a good look in the 8th frame, knowing that she has to finish this match on the right lane. Smart decision by Bailey.
Great shot. That was incredible. She showed flashes last year. She cashed 5 times in 10 events, speaking of Bailey. This is now her 4th cash of this season. So 9 total and now 18 events as a professional. That's not a bad start to a career, I would say. And already with an opportunity to take home her first title. And I know parents, again, Brian and Darlene, got to be ecstatic. John Stewart's also in the building. Very important support system for her. And the trouble again on the left lane. Hard to tell if that's the lane or if that was Bailey.
Just from observation, these left lanes, they always seem tighter down lane.
.379 attempt.
Let's go, Bailey.
How about that? Bailey, the look, the surprise, the shock.
The
never
replay.
know. The replay indeed. You never know. That may come in handy. We talked about her great spare shooting, specifically with split conversions earlier today. She keeps herself in it.
All I know is pins stay bouncing around at ABC Gates Bowl. I saw her first shot in practice on this pair was on the left lane. She threw a sick messenger. I know it didn't count for a score, but it counted in my heart.
The move, perhaps from Steph J. What do we have? That is 10 down. Determined. Fearless. Always wanting to be the proper example for her children, Kinsey and Levi. No better example to watch than right here. Left lane, that's right. Too far right, and that's a lot of 7 right there. Maybe some adrenaline right there, Sid.
I mean, it could be, yes. If Steph's going to miss, it's going to be firm. And on this pattern, it is at 50 feet. Like I've said a few times, it doesn't always feel like it. It still is. It reminds us every once in a while on shots like that. She's just happy there's not a 10 pin standing there with it. 1, 2, 4, much more makeable.
Get Bailey's max score, 226. Max score for Steph, 246. Oh no. And trouble shows up in the 9th frame. Steph still in control as Bailey cannot shut out Stephanie Johnson. Again, that max is 226, but now frames 9 and 10, they meant more, or they certainly meant a lot before, but now this is about putting your best foot forward, young lady. 3 or 4 of the best shots you can make. She'll start with the 9th frame. Get a break? No.
Knock it down.
7 pin.
That shot was right the whole way off of her hand. Simply hoping for a result that left her something makeable.
She makes this, the max drops to 215. That still would force a mark from Steph. Good spare.
Let's regroup here.
It's interesting how this is kind of shaped, or what it's shaped into, Sid. You know, Steph, who has obviously been great, and that's not a stretch to say, great on the left lane. Opens on that lane, and then has to finish on the lane that, even though it's been better this game, obviously hasn't been the best as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And if Delrose can figure out a way to at least double here, we got ourselves a situation. First one in the 10th. Thought that was one, maybe something was going to come off the sidewall. Had to have it. And now, of course, spare strike puts Bailey at 204. Steph has simply got to stay behind the foul line 2 times. Spare made. There is already some emotion, some tears on the roll here for Stephanie Johnson. But for Bailey Delrose, This is a heck of a performance for your first time in this position. .204, there's the hug, and Bailey understands the math. So for Steph, certainly wants to throw a good one. She's just got to hit pins. Husband Chris. Kids, again, Levi, Kenzie, Mom Nancy, Brother Keith, I'm sure all watching along with everybody else in the Stephanie Johnson camp. Steph J, a champion again on the PWBA Tour. Her first title since the 2022 PWBA Rochester Open, and it comes right here in Rochester in her 25th career show. That's a nice number to pick up title number 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, your champion of the 2025 PWBA Rochester Open, Miss Stephanie Johnson.
Steph J getting the hug.
And a huge round of applause for our runner-up, Miss
This time to
Bailey
Brianna
Delgado,
Cote.
in her first stepladder appearance. We will have our trophy presentation here momentarily.
Trophy presentation coming up next. 230 to 204, the official tally. But what a moment for Stephanie Johnson. It is pretty. I agree, actually. Of course, we will have Steph in the booth. I guess we need to figure out our configuration. Steph J wins 2 matches to get to her 5th career title. In 203 to 196, but Sid, you go back to the semifinal match, 9th frame shot, where she had nothing on the right lane. She strikes in the 9th, then goes to her good lane, of course, throws all 3 in the 10th. Needed a double and 4 to shut out Way. It's exactly what she did. Withstood a potential challenge, of course, from Bailey after the late open in the 9th. Quick photo there. All right, so there won't be a formal presentation just because of looks like some audio difficulties within the bowling center with regards to the wireless microphone. So we will have Steph, of course, join us right here as we normally would have our champion in the booth. Oh, wait. Oh, it's working.
Stephanie Johnson here. Title number 5. How does it feel?
Emotional. Gosh, you could work so hard and do all the right things and never win. So to be here holding this trophy, title number 5, is pretty spectacular.
Now we know that Levi and Kinsey are back at home, and you took a few events. You spend time with your family. What advice do you have for ladies who are moms out here chasing their dreams in general, whether it's bowling or any field?
It takes a village. I'm here holding the trophy, but the rock stars are at home, the ones that allow me to be out here, to be free, to follow my dream, just to do what I love to do. So I owe this to them.
Speaking of village, you had a special ball caddy this week helping you out outside of, one of your close friends and the staff here with you in Roto Grip. What can you attest the win to this week? Anybody you'd like to thank in that regard?
I mean, first and foremost, all of my sponsors, Roto Grip, Vice, Coic, Extreme Travel, all the people that support me. My friends, my family, my amazing roommates, but one of my roommates had to leave, and I know she's watching, so I just want to dedicate this to her. She's going through some stuff, and I thought of her the whole time, when she had to leave, and I told her when she left that I was going to win for her. So, Clara, this one's for you.
Special shout out to Clara Guerrero, guys. And lastly, it's championship week, so this is not only just title number 5, but this earns you a guaranteed spot into Tour Champ. Was that on your mind coming into the week?
Yes, because I was not in. I did miss a few stops, just to be with my family. The summers are rough for me because my kiddos are out of school. But I came in with that mindset, if I can win, secure my spot, not leave it to chance. And it was just meant to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, your 2025 PWBA Rochester Open champion is Stephanie Johnson.
We need a picture.
Thank you all for coming out. This is just the first event of the week. Tomorrow starts a brand new one, the PWBA Pepsi Open. So please make sure that you follow along on Bowl TV. We'll be back with another step ladder final on Saturday. Thank you all. Safe travels, and we will see you then.
Nice job, Robin Graves. Some official photos, of course, and then Steph J will join us here in the booth.
Good job.
And one more photo, of course, with
Come back here a little bit like that. Right in the
I wonder if they know that we're still on the air. All right, I promise Steph is on her way, but we will allow her to take some additional minutes because you talked about she talked about the emotion. Last time I got zebra cakes too early. This time I don't have zebra cakes and she wins, so we'll just roll with that. That's how we'll roll.
I gotta change my flight.
Changing your flight on a good note.
That's right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome inside the Bowl TV booth. Mid-Williams Jr. Sydney Brummett and our latest champion, Stephanie Johnson. Congratulations, Steph. You've been close, and Sid and I talked about it before you were due. And today was your day. Why was it your day on 31 and 32 here tonight?
Honestly, I had the most calmness over me this entire week. I came in with the mindset of just being free. just playing because I love the game. And if you read what I wrote in my journal, it's just those types of positive affirmations that just kind of kept my mind clear, patient, calm, all those kinds of things, and just trusting in myself and executing and, just doing the best that I could.
In the semifinal match, obviously the right lane looked to be a little bit of a doozy. Missed a couple spares, 3
I don't
6
know if
10,
it's the lane or me, but
and then look, you had nothing. And of course, you gotta have a shot in the 9th frame. What was different about that shot, and how you were able to just step up and do what you had to do, knowing, of course, that you were going to finish on what was your good lane at the time?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know the score. All I knew is that I needed to make the best shots that I could, and whatever was going to happen was going to happen. And I dug deep, which is what I think I do really well. And, they fell my way. So I would say I got a little lucky, but at the same time, I really do think that when it's meant to be, it just works out.
One bowling ball for the entirety of the tournament, we believe, right? 2 different ones.
Correct.
But the same ball.
Same ball.
What allowed that to happen in your mind?
Well, it's actually a funny little story. I came here with 3 balls, thinking I had 9 here, which I did not. I had brought them home for the tour, for the Open Championships and the Lucy. And my brain was just, I don't know, scatterbrain, mom brain, call it what you want. So I got here, looked in the locker room, I'm like, oh my God, I have 6 balls, plus my spare ball. I had 7 balls. So I said to the guys, I said, well, I guess it could be a blessing. We're going to drill some balls here. And we ended up drilling 2 Ion Pro solids, one with a stronger pin, one with a weaker pin, and I'm going to say that worked.
Did you drill them before the practice, or did you have them
No, I did
the
not.
start of qualifying?
I did not bowl with them in practice.
Got it.
So I bowled with what I had. Wasn't great, and just went to the truck, and that was the plan. And I said, cool, go with it. And we drilled 1. And then when I made the round of 12, we drilled the second one. So it rolled really well for me. Did the right things. When a lot of the girls were seeing over-under, I wasn't. But I think that's maybe more speed-driven than anything for me. But, we guessed correctly.
Title number 5, and obviously there was a lot of emotions there. You talked about in the post-game for the audience here with Robin about Clara. You don't need to get into detail, but I know that's a friendship that dates back many years. You saw Shannon O'Keefe, of course, this week. She was here. I felt like your friend circle was complete, more or less. And, of course, Brianna Cote, who've also been rooming with you guys as well, was complete. How important was that to you think your success here this week?
You have to surround yourself with people that uplift you. And I have the best circle. And I think, I know that helps you, right? Because they may not be down there in the hunt, but they're behind you supporting you, right? And obviously Clara had a family emergency, and I texted her right away this morning. I said, I'm winning today for Freddie. And I just thought about that all day. And it just allowed me to perform. I don't know what you want to call it, but it was just pretty incredible of what it meant to me that I could do that for her.
Excellent. Well, you're in the Tour Championship, so a good thing now. You've got to change your flight. We'll let you go. You got to prepare.
Hi, Kenzie.
That's right.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Mom. Love you guys.
You got to prepare for the Pepsi Open tomorrow, so get some rest. There may or may not be a zebra cake, I imagine, in your future,
there
but
will
enjoy
be some desserts for sure.
Wegmans cookies, probably.
Cookies are legit, so we're going to go get some.
We've learned that this week. We've all been there.
Yes, I saw you there.
Oh, yes.
It was pretty awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Rochester Open champion, Stephanie Johnson. Steph, I know you got some more media to do, so we'll let you go.
All right.
Congratulations.
Applause. Well, Sid, as we get ready to close things out, we talked about the ability to grind. I mentioned that when she was able to finish off the game versus Way, and masterclass in grinding in that sense. What a performance. How would you sum up what we just watched tonight?
I think it was just picture perfect Stephanie, right? It's, for me, she goes next to the definition of what has happened to me doesn't define me. And so she has this game that is not her, right, to any extent on the right lane. And then all of a sudden, the ninth frame, she, like she said, was herself, bowled great. And then now that next game looks nothing like the one she bowled before, and she didn't allow it to define her. And then she ends up winning the trophy.
Unbelievable performance, by the way, from Bailey Delrose. She performed in the way that a player who we will see in that moment again multiple times over in her professional career, and I believe she will win. Eventually, Julia Bond was great, as well as Sherry Tin and, of course, New Wei Finn. But tonight is about Stephanie Johnson. She is the winner of the PWBA Rochester Open and has earned a spot in the Tour Championship, of course, which will begin in 3 days from now. Big thank you to certainly everyone here at ABC Gates Bowl, the entire crew and staff led by Patrick Martinez, Jason Thomas, Caleb Smiley, Curtis Von Kruger. Congratulations to all of our giveaway winners, of course, as well. Bowling balls courtesy of Brunswick and Storm, and a board game courtesy of Scarb Enterprises. We appreciate all of our gold partners. That also includes Kegel, Lane Talk, and Go Bowling. Want to thank the Bowling Proprietors Association of America and the BPAA Board, Kegel, the official lane maintenance provider of the United States Bowling Congress, and the PWBA, and of course the USBC and its board of directors. The wonderful competitors, fantastic performances tonight, and certainly you, the Bowl TV community, the best fans in all of bowling. We'll be back here tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, qualifying round one of the Pepsi Open, right here live from ABC Gates Bowl. For Sidney Brummett, my name is Emil Williams Jr. We say so long for now. This has been a presentation of the PWBA Rochester Open. You watched it live and only on Bowl TV. And remember, bowling lives here. Good night.